The film I Can Only Imagine is wowing moviegoers, and they made it a surprise hit at the box office opening weekend, beating out films like A Wrinkle in Time and Love, Simon. The movie is the story of the lead singer of Mercy Me, Bart Millard, and what led him to write the best-selling Christian single of all time, I Can Only Imagine. Joining us now with a look at the film's success is Bart Millard and director Andy Irwin. Thank you both for joining us. So Bart, let's begin. I Can Only Imagine is based on a true story. Can you tell us real quick about the inspiration behind the song?
Yeah, I grew up in a broken home. Parents divorced when I was 3. Lived with my dad from about 3rd grade on. My mom remarried, moved away, and he was incredibly abusive, to say the least. And so it was a tough childhood. And my freshman year in high school, he was diagnosed with cancer, and I was given a front row to see my dad go from being a monster to a man that was desperately in love with Jesus. And by the time he passed away my freshman year in college, he was not only my best friend, but he was the godliest man I've ever known. And leaving the gravesite, my grandmother said, "I can only imagine what your dad's seeing right now." And I became obsessed with heaven, him being a better place. As a 19-year-old, it was an all-time low. I'm looking for the cellar door, just trying to figure out a way to get out. And here this phrase is. And so I used to write the phrase on everything I get my hands on, thinking about him being better off. And if I was on hold on the phone, I would write it down. My grandmother thought I was practicing my autograph half the time, but it was me just writing I Can Only Imagine down. And we're in a band, Mercy Me starts, and we're writing an independent record, needed one more song, and I'm looking for a blank page to start writing. And every page in every journal I had I Can Only Imagine written on it somewhere because of me doodling it so much. And so I was like, okay, God, I get it, and wrote the song, and I knew it was special to me, but had no idea that, almost 20 years later, we'd still be talking about it. So it's been a crazy ride, crazy ride.
It is indeed special to you and to all of us. What would you say the main message of the film, considering that remarkable transformation that happens, what would you say the main message of the film is?
The main message of the film is the same thing as the song. When John and my brother John and I decided to take on the movie, we said, Bart, what does this song deliver? And he says, it's a rush of hope. And I mean, in fact, if you look in the dictionary and look up the word hope, it says the song I Can Only Imagine is the definition. So, we knew that we had to do a movie that kind of delivered that same emotional transformation. And I think it is. And I think people are craving hope right now in redemption and saying nobody's beyond redemption. And to look at the numbers for the weekend and this audience that we love to serve, that we are part of the audience, to see them show up. 17.1 million opening weekend, that's double what anybody had in their wildest dreams. And now it's, yesterday we got word that it's moved up to number 2. We just passed Tomb Raider yesterday for yesterday's box office. We're going into 600 more theaters, 2,300 this weekend. And it just continues to grow and show how large this faith audience really, really is.
I love this groundswell indeed. We know the song is special. The film is obviously special to many of us. What was the experience like making it? Was that a special experience for both of you?
Yeah, it was surreal for me. No one's written a book yet to say, hey, here's how to act when somebody makes a movie about you. And so I remember there's so many special moments of, being on set. The first time I was on set watching Dennis Quaid, act out, be my father. I remember being around the corner, like where you couldn't see me, watching it all on a monitor and seeing this. I didn't think that it would be an emotional thing at all because these guys are pretending. But to see him, with a shirt with my dad's work shirt with his name on it, and hearing him call him by name. The first scene I saw was him being diagnosed with cancer, and it was a punch in the gut. Like I was like, I don't think I'm ready for this. I was first approached 8 years ago when a producer out of Hollywood had the original idea to make the movie, and it feels like forever ago, but it's taken every bit of that for me to get in a healthy place spiritually and emotionally to now where I can sit and enjoy it as a fan.
Andy, when you came on board, what was it about the story that made you and your brother say, this is a film we want to make?
Well, obviously, John and I are huge fans of the song. That song, everybody remembers when they first heard I Can Only Imagine exactly where they were. And exactly when they needed it in their life. And so there is a deep fan base for it, but we didn't know the story behind the song. And when we heard the father-son redemption story and the elements that you see in this movie, we just kept pinching ourselves at how did this not get told yet, and how in the world are we the ones that get to be able to tell it. So when you take on something that's this sacred to this many people, it's kind of like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. It's really terrifying. But along the way, just to see it come alive, we were all having just the time of our life. And it turned out beyond what we could ever have hoped for. And to see an audience show up and engage with it just, it confirms that feeling we had in our gut that there was a large underserved audience for this story.
Bart, one character in this film is, of course, your mom, and we see that she ends up leaving, being a victim of abuse as you were. Has this experience been like for her, having this part of her life told and shared?
It's better than I thought. It's when the Irwins first interviewed me about the movie and wanted me, like, how did you feel when this, and happened? And I was talking about my mom leaving. They said, how did you feel? I was like, as a kid, I felt abandoned. So the first edit really went there. To where I remember I first saw it, I was like, because my mom's a very big part of my life now, and I was like, man, this is going to kill her. Like, and I remember going to them going, hey, like, that's definitely how I felt, but as an adult, I realized more of, like, she was in fear for her life, and there's a lot more story around it, and so they really started emphasizing those scenes to where, like, young Bart kind of defending her honor and standing up to Dad, and even though they're like subtle tweaks to the movie, it meant the world to me and my mom, and to the point to where when I showed it to her for the first time, she was in tears. She goes, sadly, that's how it happened, but I'm so proud of who you've turned out to be now. And she's been at the premiere. She's our biggest fan and advocate for the movie.
Real quick, we've got less than a minute. What's your hope for the movie as it expands its reach and availability?
I think that right now the excitement. I mean, our plan ended. The opening weekend, we blew out the expectations of what we thought. And I think going into this next weekend and expanding to all the theaters and it going to markets that haven't seen it yet, I think we're only just scratching the surface of how large this faith film market is, and the family genre, and the middle America values. I think that it's going to continue to just blow our wildest expectations. So I'm excited to see the audience grow and understand this story.
Excellent. Thank you both, gentlemen. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.